Aaron, good morning to you. So talk to us about just some of the interesting elements of what Andries van Tonder has had to say. I think in particular, Aaron, the misleading of the tax authority SARS, fake invoices being created.
Yes, morning, Xoli, and we've had a smorgasbord of testimony this morning from Andries van Tonder. He's quite a different character to Angelo Agrizzi, far more muted and subsumed, but he has given us details on what he understands to have been the manipulation of invoices at Bosasa over a project called Sea Ark. And Sea Ark was a prawn manufacturing plant that was going to be set up in one of the southern provinces of the country, but it was really a front, he says. And then when SARS started cottoning on to the fact that this Bosasa, 100% Bosasa operation subsidiary was possibly not doing prawn manufacturing, they then set up a second plant in Krugersdorp, and they were growing these prawns. And apparently on Van Tonder's testimony, Gavin Watson actually brought former President Jacob Zuma, who was the then president, to this plant in Krugersdorp. And he said that the prawns they produced were very good, that they bred very tasty and delicious prawns. I'm putting a few words in his mouth there, but that they got this plant up and running to really put up a smoke screen so that the tax authorities wouldn't find that they had this front. They did then see a prawn plant in action, but soon after that fire had died down and they'd warded off the tax authorities. Gavin Watson allegedly gave an instruction to Van Tonder to then shut down the plant, lay off its staff and put the whole project to bed.
Talk to us about his earlier statements, Aaron, about the SIU report which came out and the kind of meeting that was held by Bosasa bosses to make sure that they handled invoices such as the building of homes in a much more careful manner.
Yes, so interesting there, Advocate Paul Pretorius of the legal team asking where Van Tonder was at the time. He says he was in Paris with Gavin Watson when they learned of the final conclusions of this SIU report, which actually named several Bosasa insiders, including Angelo Agrizzi, as being recommended for criminal prosecution. And at that point, they had to really mop up the mess. And so they formed this pact, including several members of the Watson family, so Gavin Watson and, I understand, a nephew and a son. And they decided that they wouldn't talk about their involvement in these correctional services contracts, and that they would then begin a process of cleaning up their tracks in order to ward off any sort of, links and incriminating evidence. And this is where Van Tonder says he was told by Gavin Watson that Gavin Watson had it all under control, they should keep mum, and that he knew about people in the top echelons of the NPA and the Hawks. And so he was then involved in this cleanup operation, but Gavin Watson also had other people on the cards to help him out with that. But Xoli, I think that's where we're going to have to leave it for now. The tea break is almost done and Van Tonder is about to take the stand shortly.
All right, Aaron Bates, thank you very much. We see the officials of the Commission behind you starting to move around. Thanks indeed for that update. I wanted to ask Aaron, if it wasn't for time constraints, about the security or perhaps the lack thereof around Andries van Tonder. Every time that Angelo Agrizzi went out, whether it be to the toilet, there would be these men around him guarding his every move. It does seem that Andries van Tonder is not enjoying the kind of protection that Angelo Agrizzi has been, or that we've seen around Angelo Agrizzi.